All right, fellas, I got to tell you about something. I found something out, I discovered something, and I think it's something we all should talk about and discuss. Okay?
Okay.
So, I watched this show, Supacell, Supacell, right? Supacell. It's a British show, which are always the best. Love British television. But it's kind of so the way it works is that there's a group of people that randomly got powers in downtown London, right?
Uh-huh.
They're all black. Pretty much all of the cast is black. But
Uh-huh.
there's one thing I've noticed, and then going back, I've definitely seen other black actors do this, and I think it's a
Uh-huh.
black acting thing that the black actors have mastered. They've mastered it as almost that it's almost part of dialogue at this point. And what I'm talking about is the black acting teeth tisk, where it's just a, they're doing
Yeah,
that,
you're not wrong.
especially in England. The England, I mean, they are just like the king and queens of the teeth, and it's everybody's doing it. The teeth tisk, it's next level over there, but
Did you ever
it's
see
still
the show
prevalent here.
Misfits?
Love Misfits. This is
Misfits
very
is good.
much it's very much kind of like how Misfits. It's not the same tone and anything of Misfits. It's
Yeah.
almost got like an Umbrella Academy tone.
Mm-hmm.
Not as silly as Umbrella Academy, but the it's very much like, it's got some Misfits, Umbrella Academy. It's got some of that in there, but with like a different, kind of like a hood feel. So, but it's
Mm-hmm.
good. I really liked it. But yeah, no, the teeth tisk. It's and going back, I remember The Wire. You know who had a great tisk? Idris had a great tisk.
Hmm.
Great teeth
Mm-hmm.
tisk. I mean, might be the best teeth tisk. You
Bodie's is
know?
pretty good too. Bodie had a
Yeah,
pretty
I
Oh,
good
was
one
just gonna
Bodie's
too.
the
say
Gleek?
I've
The
heard Bodie
Gleek?
do it a couple
Yeah,
times.
the teeth,
Oh,
the
I
ticks
think
to the
all
bleak.
time.
Bodie is like English, isn't he? I think
I think he
is
might.
Well,
he?
he
Bodie and
might
Brothers,
be.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Bodie and Brothers. True soldier.
Who
That was a true
the
soldier.
the realist, the
Yeah.
realist.
Love Bodie and
Yeah, when
Brothers.
Bodie
That
went
hurt when
out,
he
that was
went
not
down.
good. But
That
yeah, that
hurt,
was
dude. Dude, season
not a
one,
happy
episode
episode.
one, scene one is Bodie
Uh-huh.
and Brothers on the couch in the towers. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
God, love Bodie. But
Yep.
yeah, no. The teeth tisk. Next time, dude, I remember watching I think it's The Harder They Fall, right? Great
Mm-hmm.
movie. It's like a Western. It's a Western. Jonathan Majors, he's got a great teeth tisk, you know? So next
Mm-hmm.
time, yeah, dude, look at Michael B. Jordan. He does a great, he does a head nod with the teeth. He goes like a
Hmm.
look away teeth tisk. Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I wish I could tisk with those like the teeth tisk like they do, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't. And I'm upset about it, but something I noticed. So there you go. Speaking of noticing stuff, this is the Working Perspectives podcast presents For Dads by Dads. That's right, it's dads. We're taking over. Tonight we got a hot topic. Think about this. We're talking about the witching hour. So, sometimes it starts by agreeing on one thing all dads face. The moment the sun goes down, kids suddenly become thirsty, philosophical, and energetic, right? The success of this, of the witching hour, aka bedtime, is a successful bedtime is just getting these little shits, getting them unconscious, or is it maintaining your own sanity process? We don't know. But we're going to find out. So let's talk about bedtime. Fellas, we're going to go from three different points of view. Myself, the married dad, Benito, the divorced dad, and LaSchmigli, the single dad. I can tell you, from a married dad's point of view, I got a couple things, right? I get the tag team approach. Love a little tag team, right? Since I got two kids, I have a staggered bedtime. Obviously, the baby goes down early, right? So coordinating with wife, changes the game. I get to discuss the divide and conquer strategy. You know what I mean? Does one parent put the baby to bed? Does one put the older one to bed? A lot of times it's like I'll get my daughter ready for bed, then my wife usually like lays down with her as they go to bed, and that's like their girl talk time. We get a little good cop, bad cop if we need to enforce a bedtime, or sometimes maybe I'm doing something and I gotta tap out and I can send something in. That's something you guys don't have the luxury of. LaSchmigli, I'm going to go to you first. talk to me, baby. You've been doing bedtimes by yourself. By yourself bedtimes. Operating without a safety net. How do you do
Yeah,
it?
but I think it's honestly just easier now because because of the age, but the beginning was a total nightmare. So
Ugh.
I think maybe that's why I think that's just the payback for the beginning being a total nightmare, but
Yeah.
now it's honestly it's pretty easy.
Right.
So
Well, now that
she's like preteen and I don't have to do that much for bedtime. She just,
right. She doesn't want to be near you anyway. Yeah. I mean, Liam, I know for you, and you've told us this before, it's that you kind like, your kind of you time happens after bedtime, and I think that's with most parents. But do you
Mhm.
even remember like, from baby to toddler to now she's preteen, like, do you remember the hard times by yourself?
Yeah. I mean, the hard times was the earlier times. Now it's
Oof.
honestly incredibly easy. Now
Wow.
you just like
You got
set
a
a
system.
time, tell them to get going, and that's probably because, like up until now, like we talked about in earlier episodes, you just got to kind of like stick with it and kind of like
Yeah.
hammer it down and just, now we're in there. But the beginning, dude, I remember when probably from like I want to say from maybe 2 months to like 8 months it was so bad. She was like
Oh,
so cranky and like
yeah.
would like cry a lot and get up a lot and that was the worst. And then I just remember like one day when she was around like 8 months old, like one day I just woke like I went to bed at night, 8 hours had passed, and I was like, oh, like I'm like back to normal. Like it was just so insane. The feeling was just so insane that I just couldn't believe it. That's all.
Oh,
I just couldn't believe
dude.
that 8 hours had passed without having to get up.
Man, you were putting some
And then
hard
we did
time
like the
back
whole
then
we
too.
that Yeah. And then we did the whole thing with, then bought the toddler bed. Then I had to put the toddler bed next to
Mm-hmm.
my bed, then move it a little bit further
Yep.
away, then move it to the door.
Yep.
Then it was like halfway there. And then
Yep.
at that time I lived at another house and like my room and her room were right next to each other. And then I just had to slide it. And then once it got to her room, there was still a lot of back and forth going. But then once I let her pick her own bed cover, like
Yeah. Give her
curtains
some
and like all
ownership.
this stuff. Yeah, then once she had it and it was like hers,
You didn't want.
then she
Yeah.
wanted to be in there a lot more.
Burn, talk to me because you went from, you previously were used to the tag team, right? But
Hmm.
how like you got to worry about the transition friction, the challenge between enforcing bedtime routines that mom does, that now dad house has, and then you're handling but at mom's house we get to blah blah blah, right? Like, and you still have the fun dad dilemma. Like, what are we doing here, Benito?
Well, that's the other thing too, is like I'm not going to get as much static as like at mom's house we do this, but I don't want to have to deal with is her getting a lot of at dad's house he lets us do this. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So and like it's weird here because we're at my mom's. So like if it's just me and the kids, then like my son sleeps in my bed. I set up a blow up. Now I found my daughter is really into this blow up mattress, and she's
okay.
like she wants it because it's like
Right.
because her brother doesn't have one.
Sure.
So like I can set her up in a room and then I can sleep in the bed in that room.
Right.
Now, if my brother and his wife and his kid are here, then it's a whole different story. Then I have to have them
Oof.
both in the same room,
Right.
which
You're
they don't
sharing.
do
Yeah.
at their mom's house.
Yeah.
But it's tough too because whenever mom has them, it's the week, and whenever I have them, it's the weekend. So
So
it's
it's
like,
party time. Yeah.
yeah. So you got to really walk the line, and so again,
And
it's
the
just routine.
bedtime's not as strict on the weekend, you know?
Bedtime's not as strict on the weekend, and also like it's
Mine's like
tough.
complete chaos on the weekend because
Yeah,
Oh. Well,
it's
you're
like the
doing
Wild West on the
sleepovers and
weekend
stuff,
now. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ugh. I haven't
so I,
faced that yet.
if I can get like, so the key is to get you got to get them started early, right? If I
Yeah.
can get
Oh,
my
you go
daughter,
age first, youngest
yeah.
first.
So like
Yeah.
once she's out of the tub and like in her pajamas, that will dictate how the rest of the night goes. Because then she knows she gets to go downstairs, she gets to watch iPad for 10 minutes, and then we
Mm,
come upstairs, we read
mm,
stories,
mm.
and then once she gets down, then I start working on my son. That's when he like gets to hang out downstairs. He gets to watch TV. He can come up and read stories with us if he wants. But like
Mm-hmm.
he's pretty good. Like he'll let me know. He'll be like, I'm beat. Like, can we go up? But he still wants me to lay with them. And it's weird because they're coming here. So like even though he's almost 9, he still gets a little creeped out like that first night here. He's still just like, well,
Yeah.
let's leave the door open and like make
Right.
sure I can see
Right.
you. And like
Sure.
so and then she'll get up and then want to come sleep in my bed. And like that's where I
Yeah.
get killed because like I want to spend as much time with these kids as possible. So like even though I
Right.
know I should be sending her back to her bed at 3 a.m, I want
It's
her
like, come
to
on.
come hang out. Yeah.
Right.
And
You
then
miss it.
my son, like he comes up here, but he goes out and plays with his friends a lot. Right. So
Right.
at night is a nice little like, well, let's go upstairs, let's throw something on the TV in the room.
Right.
We'll
Have a little
watch
dad son time.
we'll watch a half hour of the Marvel movie, or we'll read some Dogman or whatever. But the key is like you just getting them started early, because the one thing I don't want to hear is like they get back to mom's house and they're like, well, dad let us do this, dad let us do this, dad let us do this, dad let us do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And they're liars too. Like they will say things that I don't do just
Yeah.
to like try to get away with it. My daughter
Sure.
lies too. She's like, Mom lets me sleep in her bed every night. I'm like, no, she doesn't. That's a lie. Like, it's a lie. So you got to
Yeah.
balance that shit out too.
Does it have to be that strict though? That's just
No,
something like I haven't considered because you're two different people. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
can't you have different rules there? It's your place,
Yeah.
and right
Yeah, yeah,
to a
you can
point.
to a point, because sometimes I'll have them for four or
Can't let
five
him
days.
stay up till fucking 1 a.m. yet
No,
either
Right,
yeah,
place.
I get all that, but I mean,
right.
like,
But sometimes I'll have them for 2 days. So like, there's a
yeah,
natural disruption of that
yeah.
anyway. And then when they get back to mom's house, they're usually a little salty towards her anyway, because I don't know.
They've just been having fun all weekend, and now it's back
Right.
to
And
yeah,
now it's back to whatever. So they usually give her a hard time
and
anyway.
shit bags there.
So yeah, so I just try to like mitigate that as much. But the key is getting her started early. And she does the whole, she's 4. So she's in the whole like, now I need a glass of water. Now I need to blow my
Yeah.
nose. Now I need to do
So
this.
let
Now I
me
need to
do
do
this then.
that.
So
Like,
this is the other thing I wanted to talk about, right? So let's go around the horn. I want to talk about like what so who has experienced the most ridiculous excuse for a kid to get out of bedtime, right? Like I don't know how many times I've heard, Dad, I'm
Mm.
thirsty, I need water, or Dad, I forgot this, or something like that. One of the big ones too is like, I'm not good at like putting her hair up or whatever. So it's like, well, I can't go to bed until mom's here. Or I don't have my favorite stuffy. You know what I mean? She has to have the
Mm.
one stuffy that we can't find and we don't know where it is. And she has 500 stuffies. Do you have something that you're like, oh, damn, they do this? Or Liam, have you had one? Do you remember one that maybe you haven't
Just,
heard in
I
a
mean,
while?
we've definitely always gotten the drink. Like there has to
Yeah, the
like
drink standard.
that's the
That's
oldest
staple.
excuse in the book.
Oldest.
Yeah, and like
Drink and
you
bathroom.
know she doesn't she definitely doesn't do it anymore, but she used to always like uh you know say that she couldn't sleep because she was afraid or something, and like the one thing we
Oh,
would put on is like okay, you can come out to the living room, and I would like put on the Muppets. So then like a
right.
couple times it would be like, can we watch the Muppets? Like, you know what I mean? Like I think I need the Muppets. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
when it's like I'm thinking like, is it real this time or is it not? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Muppets just like now she knows that's where her opening is? Like if
Yeah.
it's late and she doesn't want it. be in her
Have
room.
you
She
done?
knows she can do the
Have you?
Muppets route. I don't know.
Have you guys done the fake fight thing? I did that before where she claimed she was like, there's a monster in my room. And I was like, all right. So I took her out. Like, she's like, I can't go to bed. There's a monster in my room. I was like, okay. So I had her wait in the hallway and I shut the door. And I did like the whole, like, you gotta beat the, like this whole thing. Like, so, and I did it loud enough she could hear me through the door. And then I was like, all right. Sorry, Bill. I whipped him and then I threw him out the window and he's not coming back. So you're good to go. Let's go to bed. I did that thing.
Dude,
Seemed to work.
I I never had to worry about the monsters. It's so crazy because even when she was like younger, she still gravitated towards like scary, like Halloweeny stuff, like horror stuff, like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like at a very young age,
That's
she was like
huge.
trying
That's
to
Yeah.
see
huge.
Scream. She was trying to see it and everything. I was
Oh,
like that when I was a kid too.
my
And dude,
daughter's the
you
exact
know what I mean?
opposite.
So as I've told you guys, like since it's just me, I don't have to fight over this stuff. So
Yeah.
when she was a little younger, she really liked scary clowns and she wanted to see it. We watched it,
Oh.
and it was a fucking horrible mistake. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
we were
sure,
up the
sure.
entire night, you know?
How old was she? How old was
Oh
she?
man, that was probably like 4 years ago. She was eight, maybe
Oh
eight or
my
seven. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So she was probably seven then.
You live and you
Oh.
learn, baby. You live and
I
you
Dude,
learn.
if
remember,
I showed
yeah.
my daughter it, I don't think I could ever get her to sleep again. Are you kidding
But you
me?
know what? It was only one night that she was
Yeah.
up and like bothered by it. And
Right.
then like maybe a couple weeks later, it was like, can we see it too now? And I was like, dude, wasn't that like terrifying last
Traumatic?
time?
Aren't you
Yeah. And I was
traumatized?
like, all right, well, you remember what happened last time, right? And then, dude,
Damn.
we've
She
gone to like
rode the
horror
lightning.
cons and stuff though, so I'm probably not the best person to ask because I can only
Right, right.
remember one time in my life that she was actually afraid to sleep, and it was that time.
All right. What about you, Benito? Heard anything good on the old I can't go to bed, my socks are too loud, or sudden deep questions about the universe? What do you got, Daddy?
Yeah, I mean, like, so my son had this little like stuffed dog named Arf when he was real little, right? And
Arf.
Arf, yeah, it was Arf.
Good
It was
name.
a little
Good
guy.
name.
It's one of those like little TY things. You see them like they have them at like Wawa's. They're just like they have like
Mm-hmm.
the big shiny eyes or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we realized early on like this thing was small and it would get lost. So we had like seven of them like
Ooh.
stashed around. So we'd lose one or he'd leave one somewhere, and no one knows about that till 7 o'clock, and all of a sudden, oh, we found it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's here. But then
Yeah.
what would happen is then he'd find the old one. So
Oh
then
shit.
at one point he had Arf, Arfie, Arfa Barfa. Like now there's three of them in the rotation. One's got a weird
Love it.
ear. One's got this. So that whole thing kind of
Yeah.
blew up. Recently, he told me we were trying to go to bed, and it was his first night here, and it's always a tough one. And we're laying in bed, and he wants me to lay with him, but he doesn't want me to sleep with him because I snore. So he's like, "You need to stay here, but also you need to keep your eyes open because I don't want you to be here." And at a certain point, it's like, dude, listen, I'm exhausted too. Like it's 11
Right.
o'clock.
Sure.
I'm laying in the dark room. Like what are we gonna do here? So the best one he gave me recently was he couldn't sleep because his imagination wasn't working. And
Mm-hmm.
like
That's a good excuse.
he likes to
Great
imagine things.
excuse.
He likes to imagine things when he's laying in bed, like he's a superhero or like he's playing soccer or like he's doing awesome things. But on that particular night, his imagination wasn't working and he couldn't fall asleep. So I thought that was a pretty good one. And my
I
daughter
like that.
says fucking absolute nonsense to me. Like
Yeah.
one night she refused to go to sleep because her friend from school was mad at her. And I was like, I don't know this girl. I can't. I'm not like. She probably isn't. But
Right.
like, she
Yeah.
just was like, I'm not getting back into bed because so and so is mad at me,
Can we
and
talk
I'm
about
mad that
this?
she's mad at me. And you're like, I
Right.
don't. What do I even do about?
Who
I can't
knows?
pretend to go
Right.
beat up her friend in the room.
Right.
Like,
Right. You can just tell that she's not mad at you because she probably isn't and probably
and then
hasn't
she
thought about
goes,
it. Yeah.
yes, she is.
So
Oh,
what
yeah.
do you guys do? This is something I have not considered. What do you guys do? So you have to deal with two of them. So what
Yeah.
do you do when one is causing a ruckus to like stay up? does the other one get drawn into the chaos, and then you have
Absolutely.
I'll
two?
tell you. Well, so mine are a little further apart right now. Like my daughter's on board of like, do not wake this fucking baby up. If you wake
Yeah,
this baby up, it's hell.
it's
Hammer
over.
time.
Yeah.
If you fucking wake this baby up, it's fucking hammer time. Okay, the hammer's coming.
Yeah. And
Right?
like
Mhm.
Like there's
baby's crying, dad's mad, mom's mad. Like you got no friends in this house right now.
no,
You wake
you
this
wake
baby
this
up.
fucking baby up, it's fucking, you're in trouble. You're fucking, you better wish you're asleep. No, fucking, everyone's on board. Don't wake up the baby. The baby goes, like, she knows too, like, when the baby goes down, it's kind of like, at least knock on wood, she's been like, it's kind of chill time and she can watch some tablet and hang out and like we're putting the baby down because we have to give him a bath, you know what I mean? And like all this stuff. So it's a whole process. So like, but if I mean I'm assuming in a couple years it's gonna be worse. Like one's gonna keep the other up and stuff like that. But yeah, for now it's if she knows like don't ever wake him up or it's fucking curtains. Also, we've been doing he has a sound machine that we try to keep pretty loud in
Mhm.
just so nothing does wake him up. But also like he'll scream in the morning and I know their rooms right next to each other and I know like if like she can hear it, but it doesn't seem to wake her up when he screams in the morning, like when he wakes up, because he usually cries when he wakes up. So I don't know. But what I mean, can I ask you guys this real
Mhm.
sidebar? Every like most of the time my daughter will get a stuffed animal and it's like if it's a dog it's woof woof or if it's a panda it's pandy,
Sure.
you know what I mean, like they're shit names,
Mhm.
but every once in a while she'll throw a name out there that I'm like I fucking love that name. She had a penguin who she called Penguini and I fucking
Penguini.
I was
I
like, I
like that.
like that. That was a pretty good one. Because
My
there's
daughter had a
sparkles and there's rainbow and all that happy horse shit. But I really liked Pinguini, you
my
know?
daughter had a duck named Charcuterie, I think was the name.
Charcuterie!
Yeah, Charcuterie or Charcuterie. Yeah.
All right, that's tough to beat. My daughter got a little
Arf is
mouse.
good.
My daughter got a little mouse
Yeah,
a couple
ours
weeks
good.
ago, and she named it School Bag because she was looking at her school bag, and so the
Hey,
mouse's
write
name
what you
became
know.
School Bag, and it's still School Bag. Maddie, my kids are like 4 years and like 9 or 10 months apart. Like my daughter
Yeah.
just turned 4 in January, and my son will be 9 April 1st. So I feel like you're
Okay.
kind of in a similar
Yeah.
JoJo,
My
right? You're
my
just a
daughter's
little
was
sub five
turned
years apart.
yeah, my daughter turned 5 2 weeks before my son was born. So yeah.
All right, so they're
Okay.
right about the same. So you're
Yeah.
in good shape for now. You got about a
Yeah.
year and a half, and
Until
that's when they
he
start
yeah.
amping each other up. And like in
Till
my
we take
case,
like the side gate off the crib and it's like the half thing,
exactly,
where he can
exactly.
get out. Like he's still imprisoned now.
But
Oh
that's not
man.
the big thing. The big thing is the pre bedtime because if one of them is chill and one of them is amped, it doesn't matter which one is which. It takes absolutely no time for the other one to join that energy.
Oh, the
Like
energy. Yeah. Oh.
so there are points where you're like, it's almost better to take one up. Like I'll take my daughter for a bath, especially if my son's getting a little ramped up, just because I need to separate them because she will pick up on that energy right away and then
Or
want to
you
be
can
part
kind
of
of
it,
hope that he'll crash on his own down there,
which
and
he
then you
does
just got to
sometimes.
carry him
Sometimes I got
up,
to go
right?
carry him
Yeah.
up or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole bath thing is like, and she's good. I'll put her in the bath now, and she's like, "Can you give me some privacy?" So I'm like, "All right."
Yeah,
So I'll just
yeah.
go sit across the room, and
My
she'll
daughter
hang out for
showers
ten
on her
minutes.
own now. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is
But
nice.
but
But yeah.
Liam, yeah, the thing is, there are certain key points where you see it coming, and you're like, if I let these two interact at all, everybody's bedtime just got pushed back by an hour
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yep.
one of them's doing one thing and one of them's ready to be compliant. But the calmer one will always take the wilder one's energy
So
and try to
yeah.
match it.
Makes sense.
So next thing I want to talk about, and Liam and Bern, you're a little bit away from this, but Liam, you're pretty far removed from this. But I want to ask. So I mean, it could be called like the ninja exit or whatever it is, right?
Oh,
It's
I remember it well. I
it's
already know what you're gonna say.
sneaking out of the toddler's room, right?
Yep.
And like you're moving, and dude, like either the floorboard creaks or like you pull the door and it's a little squeak out of the door, or it's the fucking handle on the door makes the click, and the toddler went from
Yep.
being dead to the world to right
You got
and
to make
live.
sure the toys in that room are clean. There's nothing that you want to
Oh,
curse yourself more for knocking over a toy that you could have picked up earlier but
especially if
left
it's a
there,
musical one.
and then you're the one who ends up stubbing your toe on it on the way out.
Oh, dude.
That's when you go
Also,
look in the
too,
mirror
like,
and you're like, I failed. I failed myself
dude, the
here.
worst is like if the baby wakes up in the middle of the night, right? And it's one of those where they're crying. You have to pick them up. You have to console them. Like we have a rocking chair. You're sitting on the rocking chair. The baby falls asleep in your arms, right? The world is right. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna put this fucker down.
The Mission
And you have
Impossible
to
music
Mission
starts right
Impossible it
there.
down
The
onto
oh
the. Yep.
the fucking handling of like you're like oh like it's the most delicate package ever. As soon as they hit the crib mat, it's fucking wide awake again. You're like, well, what do we even do here for the last half hour? What are we even doing? You
With
know,
my
You
with
it's
kind
the
of
my
have to
worst.
son,
you kind of have to transition. You get them down. You make sure a hand is like on them so they can
Yeah,
still feel your presence. Then you have
yeah.
to sit there like that for a while. Then
Something I
once
learned
they start
too.
to come out, then you can
So
move your
something I
hand.
learned too, right, is that if they're face first on you, then their
Mm-hmm.
get that
face is
face
against
right down.
something warm, you
Hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you put them on their back, they're like face cold, you know? You got to put them down face down, kind of like with your hand on the near the face so they still get some warmth and then put them
Mm-hmm.
on so they got like contact on the face again. I
You
found
ever
that out. Yeah,
you ever hide on the
you know.
floor? I remember times putting my kids down where like you get them into the crib or the
Oh, and you
bassinet
go
and you
black.
feel them go and you just go straight down on the ground.
Yeah. Oh,
And you're like,
yeah.
I am now going to stay here for the next minute or two. No movement.
No movement.
I'm trying not to even breathe. Hopefully,
Oh,
they'll just rustle a little bit and then take themselves back to bed. Now, what about routines, Maddie? Like, once your
hold
daughter
on.
is
Here's
okay,
something
sorry.
though, Bern. You experienced this, Liam. I don't know if you did, where you finally get the fucker down, and then
Mm-hmm.
fucking Johnny saves the world comes in the room and makes the noise, and you're like, you fucking bastard asshole! I finally
Yeah.
got this son
Yeah.
of a bitch down, and you want to come in
Mm-hmm.
now? Huh?
Now you
I've
need
been that
socks.
guy as
Or
well.
like
Now you need
somebody
socks.
made a noise. Somebody made a noise outside the window,
Yep.
or yeah, someone
Someone
like
had
that.
to flush the
Hey,
toilet,
or your
whatever the
phone goes
fuck
off
it.
or something. Uh huh.
Oh, all
I've
right.
been
But
pretty
Bern, what were
lucky
you talking?
because I
Yeah,
since it's just us two, I haven't had too
yeah,
many. I haven't had to worry about that too much.
yeah. Benito, what were you saying
So,
about
so let's talk
structure?
about routines too.
Okay.
So Liam, your daughter's older, right? Like, does she have
Hmm.
like okay, now it's time to go? Like, 'cause I remember when I was a kid, I used to negotiate everything. So I'd be like, okay, I got to turn the TV off downstairs and go up to my room. But like, can I read for a half hour? Can I keep my light on to read for a little bit, or can I, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
Yeah.
is
I'll
it?
let her do the reading if she wants to read a book. What are you going to be like?
Right.
No, you can't read books. Like
If reading's in,
you're
yeah.
that already puts you like well above like what
Yeah,
I was at that age because I would not even consider
I would
like
have been like, I'd
reading a
rather
book.
sleep than read a
Yeah,
fucking book.
reading a book at 11 was like completely out of the realm of
Not a
possibilities
chance.
for me.
Not a
So
chance.
for her to even ask that, it's like knock yourself out.
Dude, I maybe read one book in my entire life until I was like 20. And then I
Yeah,
read like a
yeah,
bunch. But
yeah.
see,
like
I
I
Like if they
see.
the
gave
only
us a
book
book in
I ever
school, I was
read,
like, not happening.
I'll tell you, the only book I ever read cover to cover, it was the Mark McGuire Sammy Sosa story. It was like 60 pages. Mark McGuire Sammy Sosa story during the big home run chase in what was it, 99?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Or
90,
Wait, was it
97,
98?
98, something
Yeah, I
like
Yeah,
that,
thought
right
you.
around there.
97, 98, whatever.
Well, whatever.
During the big home run chase between McGuire and Sosa, they had like a 60-page book about those two. I read it cover to cover, and I was so proud of myself. The words were like, the font was like size 40, you know? Like, it
Hmm.
wasn't like a tough read, but your boy
See,
handled it.
See, I realized that I could get extra time if I would say that I was going to read. So I could read in my room with
Not
my
a
little light
chance.
above the bed. And then I was able to transition that into putting my radio on a low volume. And then while I
Ooh.
read, because then they would come in and be like, well, "You're supposed to be sleeping," and I was like, "I always listen to music when I read," and they were like, "That's bullshit," and I was like, "I got to make sure this is true." So this actually goes like I actually ended up doing this. Like I can remember books that I read as a kid, and I would listen to the same album the whole time I was reading the book, like on repeat. So
Not
like
bad.
it's like Pearl
I
Jam,
could never do that.
Pearl
Dude, the
Jam
fact that you can
Vitology,
do that, you're a
Journey to the Center of the
genius.
Earth. Like I remember reading Journey to the Center of the Earth, and I would
What?
listen to Pearl Jam Vitology every night. Yeah, Jules Verne,
Buddy,
There's
dinosaurs,
if
no,
I'm
cabins and
telling
stuff.
you,
there's
I don't
no
know
way
how
I
many
could do that.
times I tried to read a book as a kid and couldn't get past the first page because as
Yeah.
soon as I started reading, my mind goes somewhere
Well,
else.
it
I'm like,
does
who
make
the
you fall
fuck can
asleep, though.
concentrate this long?
It
I
is a
Yeah,
can't
great
like
way to
even.
fall asleep.
yeah,
Like
me too.
books, I
Me
love
too,
reading, and
man.
books still put me down. Like I still will be like, oh, I'm going to read a little while tonight, and then I'll be like, I've read 2.5 pages, and I've fallen
You're out.
asleep. But
Yeah.
for me, it was like I was always trying to get over on my folks, and I didn't care. So I was like, okay, I can stay up. I'm going to stay up as late as I can and read. In your
Yeah.
face. When meanwhile they were probably downstairs, like Liam said, being like, "Yeah, if he wants to read a fucking book, I don't care."
Yeah.
Like, great,
Yeah.
good, grand.
Yeah.
But I thought I was pulling one over. Liam, does your daughter have a phone?
No.
Okay,
She
so I was gonna
she
say
has a
that's
she has a watch. Like I have
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those watches where I can contact her that way.
But so that's gonna
Love
be a
that.
weird thing coming up, like, because eventually she's gonna have a phone, and like that's gonna be the craziest thing to police,
I said
right?
I said middle school. I said she's
Oof.
already got friends that have it now, which to
I'm
me is
sure.
like I'm like, guys,
Dude, that's
come
so
on. You know
scary.
what I mean? Like, come on.
I don't even
I
want to
just don't
think about
understand
that.
what these other parents are thinking, but whatever. That's
Yeah.
not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm saving that for middle school. That's when they can
Oh,
have it.
Yeah.
guys, I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you something.
Mm.
What's up, Maddie?
Remember a little dad hack we talked about last week where I said the time thing where I'm gonna go up and be like, hey, I was like, I hope I remember this. Instead of being like, hey, we gotta leave in 10, be like, hey, do you want to leave in 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Right? I've
Yeah,
been
Mm-hmm.
doing that. I've been
yeah.
doing it. I'm telling you guys, knock on wood,
Been
good
working out.
results.
Nice.
Good
Good results,
results.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. I
I don't
bet.
get kicked back. I haven't gotten any I don't want to fucking leave. It's like, all right. It's hey, do you want 10 or 15 minutes? What do you want to do? 15?
Yeah.
Fine. We probably end up
Great.
leaving in 20 cuz I wasn't really trying to, go crazy and it's
Right.
like, all right, time to go.
But
She's like,
she
"Okay."
but but she feels like, oh, that was my call. All right, sweet.
Right.
I got to
I
I got
got
to
to
pick that.
decide. Done.
That's
So,
key. You're right. That is the key to it. It's like so maybe
yeah.
with the bedtime you do the same thing, and then it's
Dude, did
like
it
their
tonight. I
choice
did
to
it
go. Yeah,
tonight.
that works. That
I was
works.
like, "Hey, do you want to go up in 5 minutes or 10 minutes?" Oh, 10
Mm-hmm.
minutes. Okay, no problem. And then I was like, actually, you got 12. She's like, oh, okay. All right, let's
Yeah,
go. And I was like,
that's good
okay.
stuff.
I was
Yeah,
like, do
that's
you want me
good
to
stuff,
carry you up the
man.
stairs? And she's like, yeah. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, you got to get to the stairs first before I carry you.
Ah,
So,
man,
we're
see
doing
that
that.
I miss. I miss. That's the thing about like when they get bigger and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
actually do miss like carrying her and stuff,
Yeah.
and
I was thinking
yeah,
about that tonight. I was like, man, this isn't going to be much longer, I don't think.
yeah.
Well, that's why it's important. My daughter comes in at 3 in the morning. Like, can I sleep with you? And
How can you say no?
she's a great
Yeah.
like cuddler. Like, she gets right up into you, and
I say it
like
every time. I say yes every time my daughter comes in. Every
I make
time.
my
I
kids
did too.
in the morning before we go downstairs that we all have to get into bed and sleep pile. You ever see the movie The Croods?
No.
Prudes?
Oh,
Croods,
where they
the Cru-
lay on. Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen it. Yeah.
yeah,
Where they all
sleep
lay on
pile.
top of you.
So I'm like, guys,
That's
we
a
need
Uh,
2 minutes.
great
We
one.
need we need 2 minutes to sleep pile before we go downstairs,
I
oh,
and like
love
they'll
that.
do it. Just because
I
it's the
might be
only
throwing
physical
that in there.
contact I have with any human being in the world. So I'm
mhm.
like,
Right. Until you
somebody
go
come,
to the
somebody come here.
Asian.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I don't think
So
I don't know if I have the money for a sleep pile there. Uh,
let's talk about this now too. So we talked about like the ninja exit. So screen time versus book time. We're talking about, a candid talk on it's a modern crutch. Does throwing a tablet make bedtime easier or does it eventually crash 10 times worse? Like, I don't know, man. The
Uh,
tablet before bedtime,
there's
it's
got to
been
be
like there's got to be a cutoff.
the
You know what I
same.
will do? I'll let her do tablet while she's brushing her teeth and all that, which is fine. But once that's done, I'm like, okay, let's get to
do you
bed.
guys
And
have the thing where you can control it from your phone?
Yep.
Because
what the
then it
tablet?
can, yeah, then it can cut it off. Like
Oh,
my phone, because
I
it's
can do it
all
on my
Apple.
Wi-Fi at home.
Yeah, yeah, I can
oh,
make it so that from my phone I can make it so that the same time every night, that thing just stops working. So there's
Oh
no
no,
point,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I have that. Yeah, it's like the timeout thing or whatever. Yeah,
That's the
yeah, they
So
have
best.
that.
That is the best tool for that.
Yeah,
you know what I
you're not
found
wrong.
works, Maddie? You can't go right from tablet to bed, right? So
Yeah,
like after bath, they both get they can both watch their shit for 10. She gets 10 minutes. He gets until I get her to sleep, so he probably gets
right.
closer to like a half hour. But
Yeah.
for both of them, like she gets her 10 minutes with her tablet after bath, and then we go up and read a book. You know what I mean? We do
Yeah,
something in between. It's like they say for people, man, you should stop looking at screens an hour before you're trying to go to bed because it's
easily.
overstimulating to your
Yeah,
eyes, to your brain, and stuff like that. So I think if you got, and I do the same thing with my son. Like we'll break it up. Like, and now he's in third grade, so now he can read. So I'm like, well,
yeah.
let's read Dog
Damn
Man, and
smart kid.
you read some to me, and I'll read some to you. And we actually just started last time he was here. We started on The Hobbit. We're gonna read The
Oh,
Hobbit and like
awesome.
You ain't no
Sean.
God,
hobbit, no
I hope my
hobbit.
son's into all that shit. My daughter
Yeah,
fucking hates all that. Like,
yeah. So
she just wouldn't buy it. I don't know. I would love to be able to do that with my
we got
son.
through the first
God.
chapter of The Hobbit. So like
Yeah.
that's what we're. But you got to put something between the screens and the heads on the
Yeah.
pillow. You got to
Yeah.
put something in between,
My
or
wife's
else they
pretty good with
stay they
that.
stay
Yeah.
ramped up.
So our move is like I'll get my daughter ready with like get her she goes to the bathroom, she does her teeth. If it's a shower night, she'll do the shower and then
Mhm.
she like will put her pajamas on and then once we get to the bed though, one of the cool things is she does this every once in a while. She'll be like, "Dad, can we wrestle?" And I'm like, "All right, we
Mhm.
can do a wrestling match." You know what I mean? Where it's
Mhm.
like she's giving me RKO's and and body slams
Yeah,
and like what and I'm
So the
doing
good thing, I
suplexes
actually
to
can
her.
still do that. We actually still do that.
Yeah. It's the best,
WWE
dude.
stuff. Yeah,
Wrestling
it
stuff's
is the
dude.
best.
I gave her a rock bottom the other day. It was awesome. And like she's hitting me with elbow drops and she has her favorite moves, the butt bomb and all that stuff. Which literally she just jumps and lands on her butt on me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, dude, and then we'll have a match and eventually she'll win. She'll use a pillow as a steel chair. It's great. Like all that's fun because then she's kind of like tuckered out before bed. Then my wife comes in and like it's tag time. I tag in my wife and she like lays in bed with her and they talk about like her day and school and all these different
Hmm.
things, girl time. So that's good. That's one of the pluses of being married. You know what I mean? Which,
well,
sorry guys, don't
Hmm.
mean to rub it in.
no, they hold out on you too. Like you kind of got to be available when they want to. Like there are days where like I'll
Yeah.
get my son and I'll be like, "How's your day, man? What's going on? How was your week?" And they'd be like, "Whatever." I'm like, all right. And then we drive home
Yo.
for 2 hours. He's like, whatever. And then we lay down and go to bed. And he's like, so this thing happened in school today. And I'm like, well, you son of a bitch. But now I want to hear all this information. But like, you just
Yeah.
didn't feel like talking to me about it earlier because it just happened.
Yeah.
And now you've had
Yeah.
some time to think about it. And now you're like going
Yeah.
through your day the way we all do. And you want to chat about it. And so
Yeah.
like, that's the gift and the curse where it's like, all right, well, you're squeezing an extra 15 minutes out of this. But I want to know. And I also like that's part of processing the day, man. Everybody does that, right? So like,
Yeah.
but it's frustrating when you're like, we're on a car ride home and they're just like bullshitting in the back and no one will give you anything. And then as soon as it's time for
Yeah.
bed, they're like, let me tell you a million things that happened today.
It
And you're
sucks, but
like,
it's also like you want to hear it, and but that's cool though.
Hmm.
Like that bedtime talk stuff is all right. So, but we are coming towards the top of time, right? There's been another great four dads by dads. We're here for the dads. So, Benito,
Hmm.
I'm going to go to you. You got any advice you're going to give to any rookie papas out there? Give a golden piece of advice to a new dad who's currently dreading the bedtime routine or maybe a dad who's struggling, or maybe a divorced dad out there that hasn't seen his kids in a week, and he's gonna put him
yeah,
down.
they're gonna roll you. I mean, first of all, 8 like 0 to a year. Get that baby close to you, get that baby to sleep, get them in the crib, and then lay flat on your face on the floor so they can't see you
Right.
moving.
Yep.
You got to do that. Toddlers,
Mission Impossible.
you'll never outthink them. You could have the nightlight, the water, the stuffies, the
Yeah.
blanket, the right
Yep.
pillow, the tissues, the
Yep.
whatever. There will still be a request. You're not failing. They will think of something that you didn't think of, but try to be as
Sure.
prepared as possible.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
again, just give them a choice. Be like, give them a choice. If they're hashing it, they can stay up and read a little bit, or as long as the lights off, they can play with a toy. As long as they stay in their bed, but like, give them a choice of something they can do. If they're hashing you,
Yeah.
just make sure it's something that you are okay with them doing. Like, I'd be like, yeah, you can bring your
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles into bed with my son, but like, you
Sure.
got, but as soon as you get out of bed, we got to put them away.
Yeah.
So like,
I
yeah,
like
you want to
that.
play with your Ninja Turtles in bed? Like, that's great. Do your thing.
Dude, I remember that as a kid. Like, did you guys ever do this? Like, I remember before football season or before baseball season, I would always sleep with my shit in the bed, right? Like, if it
Oh
was football
yeah,
season, I'd sleep with like
Mhm.
my helmet or like my spikes in the bed. Or baseball, I always slept with my glove in the
yeah,
bed.
glove in the
Yeah,
bed for sure.
yeah. Did you ever do that, Liam? Or were you too busy like jerking off the comics in bed or something?
There's
No,
room for
I
a
have like
baseball glove and a
footballs and
graphic
stuff.
novel.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Oh,
Yeah. All
I
right.
mean, I liked football and like basketball more. I really
Yeah.
was not into
Oh
baseball,
yeah, I
but
forgot you guys did basketball in the winter. Bunch of
yeah,
noobs. But Liam,
yeah.
what's your advice for these candy asses dads out here? Like these fucking dads that used to have a partner or these dads that still have a partner, these fucking bitches that needs two people. What is a man, a hero like you, Liam? What advice do you have for these chicken shit tag team parents out here? You're the fucking world universal champion. I can't win a universal title in a tag team. That's only a
Come up,
solo championship. You're a solo champion. What do you got?
come up with whatever your plan is and stick to it. You
Stick
have to
fucking
be
to it.
consistent because then
Yep.
eventually it'll pay off and they're programmed for it and everything. And then it just kind of once they get a little bit older, then it happens organically, like they do it themselves. But most importantly, if there's one thing I realized while we were talking, some of those times, some of those bedtimes, it's going to feel like a battle and a struggle, and it was so much to have your
Yeah.
hand there and hold them and everything. But dude, enjoy it because before you know it, it's gone. They're old.
Yeah.
They're doing it all themselves, and you're
Yeah.
like, I kind of miss carrying them into bed. I kind of miss them coming to me for, you know what I mean, to come to your
Yeah.
bed. You
Liam, you're
know,
gonna
I
make me
miss it.
tear up. But you're right, Lishmigs, as always. Well, speaking of Liam being right, this has been another episode of the Working Perspectives Podcast presents For Dads by Dads. We're here for the dads. In case you're wondering, you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. Hang out with us on Instagram, Working Perspectives Podcast. Join us on Twitter and TikTok at Working P Pod. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please like and subscribe. And we'll keep bringing you this sweet, sweet content. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the flippity dippity. Thanks. See you.